for being here today. We're going to get started. Just to be mindful of everyone's time. Appreciate all you taking the time. We're so excited to see you. Welcome to the first edition of this minor entrepreneurship talks, Unleashing Your UTEP Superpower. A speaker series powered by the Mike Boyett Center for Innovation and Commerce, showcasing and highlighting stories of UTEP alumni, faculty, staff, and student entrepreneurs just like you, picking up successes along the way. My name is Fernanda Fiscal, and I'm the director of the center and your host for today. Today, we have a distinguished guest, a 2004 UTEP graduate from the College of Engineering, a member of our advisory council, advisory board at the center, a co-founder of the creative communications agency, Hello Amigo. Please join me in welcoming Brandon. Brandon, thank you so much for accepting our invitation.
Absolutely.
Welcome to your beautiful UTEP campus. How are you today?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Good.
How's everyone else doing? Everyone good? Thank you all so much for being here. This is awesome.
So yeah, we're super excited. This is going to be a series of just to showcase what UTEP alumni has been doing, and just passing along that stories. So before we jump into our conversations, I would like for you to tell our audience a little bit about yourself, a little bit about Hello Amigo. We have Hello Amigo website in the background. What do you do as a co-founder? What exciting projects do you have going on? Company values, so everyone here understands a little bit of what it means to be a co-founder.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm Brandon Silverstein. I am born and raised in El Paso, Texas. I graduated from UTEP, kind of hard to believe, 20 years ago. So it's 2004. I have a computer science degree. And I currently run a creative communications agency called Hello Amigo. We work with clients all over the United States. We have a lot of work in El Paso, but we do work really everywhere. And we focus on really two things that we consider ourselves experts in. One is branding. So we do a lot of identity development for companies that have like an out-of-date identity logo that they want to like refresh their look, or new companies that are just getting started and they need a logo name. We do a lot of that work. We also do a lot of design work, so anything that needs to look great and be printed, like presented, like we do an awesome job, whether that's annual reports, invitations, billboards, letterhead, brochures, really anything that needs to look awesome. Our team has full capability to do that. The second thing that we do and focus on is website development. We do a lot of website development. We do a lot of content strategy. People are going to websites to get content, so we want to make sure that content is easy to find. We custom design all of our websites, including our own, so we want them to stand out. We don't really want to use pre-made templates. Like, we want to design around that unique content, and every client has a unique story to tell, so we want to design around that unique story. And we do a really good job with programming. We want to make sure that the websites look great on mobile devices because everyone is looking at websites on their phones. We want to make it really easy for clients to update their websites, so we built our own really simple content management system. So that is really what we do at Hello Amigo. My role as co-founder and managing partner, I kind of lead like the long-term vision of the company. I also handle a lot of like the financial aspects of the company, but I have a computer science degree from here. I still love programming 20 years after starting the company. And I still program almost daily. So I'm making website updates. I'm building out full websites. So probably half my time is spent programming, and the other half is doing other business stuff. I do a lot of business development too. I meet with new clients, sell ourselves. I'm giving you kind of like the sales pitch that I give to clients when they call us. So I do a lot of that as well. You mentioned company values.
Yeah, company values.
So company values they shouldn't be so hard to define, but we've always had trouble like defining our company values. But I will say that one of our core company values is trust. We are a fully remote company, which I'll talk a little bit more about. And we want to be able to trust our team members to get the work done without supervision, because we're kind of all over El Paso, but we have employees throughout Texas and in other, we used to have other locations too. So trust is a big one for us, and we really built our company culture and values around getting the work done during work hours and being able to leave work behind after that. We don't want to have a company where we are working 10, 12, 14-hour days, where we have to work on weekends every weekend. We want to be able to get our work done within that 40-hour work week, myself included as like managing partner, and enjoy our lives outside of work. So that's a big one for us.
And that's great. I mean, more and more companies are trying to do more work-life balance.
Yeah.
And it's great to see that, passive companies are also noticing and following that trend.
Yes.
So great for Hello Amigo, and for those of you that are looking for opportunities, just so you know, there are opportunities are here in El Paso as well, just like in Hello Amigo.
A few years ago, sorry,
Go ahead.
But in like 2018, we experimented with something on Fridays where we would work half-day Fridays. And we didn't take those 4 hours and like add them on to like the beginning of the week. We just said, we're just gonna try it for the summer. And we liked it so much because the energy level was so low on Friday afternoons anyway. Like, you go to lunch, you get back to the office, and like no one wanted to work. I didn't want to be there, our team didn't want to be there. So we tried it for the summer and we liked it so much that we've kept that policy since 2018. So I think our official work week is like 38.5 hours,
Nice.
which is great for our team. So yeah, we enjoy
Great.
taking those early Fridays.
Absolutely. I mean, it's great to know, and as a founder of a company, having in mind your employees' satisfaction, and it's great to see companies just like that.
Yeah, that's really important for us to have happy team members.
Awesome. So now let's talk a little bit about your UTEP journey.
Yeah.
Right. As a UTEP graduate, what aspects of your UTEP experience do you believe contributed the most to your success in Hello Amigo?
Yeah, so before I attended UTEP, I actually started school at another school. I was lucky enough to go to UCLA in California right out of high school. And I loved it. It was a great experience, like being in LA and going to like, a school on the West Coast. And I started taking computer science classes there. I was there for about 1.5 years, and for a variety of different reasons, one being the cost of the school, which was very, very expensive, I ended up transferring back here. And the thing that I quickly realized when I came back here and I started doing the computer science classes, and really not just computer science classes, like any class at UTEP, comparing it to UCLA, the classes were exactly the same. The level of education here at UTEP was exactly the same as UCLA. So UCLA may have like more prestige, like it may be more prestigious, but it's about the education, right? You're getting the same education here for a fraction of the cost of UCLA. So the thing that taught me is really like it's everyone kind of makes their own experience, right? So like when I got here at UTEP, I kind of took my experience into my own hands, and really all of us do that as students. Like it's really what you make of the experience. So, I worked hard. Like I know a lot of you are younger than I am, and I'm sure there's lots of times where you don't want to be in class and you'd rather be doing something else, but worked hard, went to class, didn't take shortcuts as I pursued my computer science degree. Always asked a lot of questions, was very inquisitive during classes. So I really think like just doing all of that and making that experience my own, that was really like my UTEP experience.
Great, it's great to hear, and I've been, and this is one of the reasons we're doing this series of talks, because we know that there's a UTEP superpower, right? That's what we want to call it, because it is a superpower. And the university offers all these opportunities, extracurricular activities, programs, where students can take advantage, and they're really the quality anywhere in the US. So thank you for highlighting that. Can you share a memorable moment, like minor moment that you always remember?
Yeah.
And they shape your entrepreneurial
Yeah. So I want to answer that maybe a little bit unexpectedly. I want to go back to before my time at UTEP because UTEP has been a part of my journey even before I attended school here. So I'm going to date myself a little bit, but this was like the mid-90s, I think 1994 and 1995. You connected to get online via like America Online, or there was even a service called Prodigy. Does anyone remember Prodigy?
I do remember. I don't know.
So Prodigy was like pre-America Online. So you dial in, and the World Wide Web, internet, I think it was around 94, 95, started to get popular. So you could access the World Wide Web through America Online, Prodigy. And I became very intrigued just like looking at different websites that were being built. And this was brand new, so like there's probably hundreds of millions of websites today. There were very, very few back then. And I don't even remember how like I started to like build websites, but I saw websites like that other people had made, and I was like, I want to do that. I want to learn how to build a website, get it online, have people all over the world see that website that I built. So I needed something, so I was 12 or 13 at the time. I needed something that people would go visit. No one knew who Brandon Silverstein was. I don't need like a Brandon Silverstein page. Like no one's gonna go to that. So I said, I need something that I can build a website for. And I'm a huge sports fan. And so I decided I'm gonna build a website for the UTEP basketball team. So that was my very first website that I ever built. So I figured out how to build the website, and this was pre, like I don't even know if ESPN had a website. Like you could not, we take it for granted now, like during the game, you could go on your phone, look up like instantly what the score is, who has so many points, rebounds, assists. Back then, like you had to like get the newspaper the next day and like read like what happened during the game. So I built this website, and I would wake up in the morning before school, get the newspaper that my parents subscribed to, and I would literally type up the box score from the game the night before and post it online. And I would update the website that way. So I learned how to like program by doing that. And this was pre-Google, so Google didn't even exist yet. Yahoo was around, but it wasn't even a search engine. It was a directory. So you literally go to the Yahoo homepage, and it had a bunch of topics like politics, news, weather, sports. So you'd click on sports, and then you would see like basketball, college basketball, baseball, football, and then you click on college basketball, and then you would see the teams. So you had to submit your site to Yahoo to get listed. And so I got it listed in Yahoo. And so you would go down that path of getting to the UTEP site. And I started getting emails from people all over the world saying, hey, like, I remember I got one from someone stationed, I think in South Korea.
Oh, wow.
And they were like, I'm from El Paso, like I love UTEP basketball. Like, this is great because I had no way to like find out how the team was doing. And so UTEP always holds a special place in my heart, not just because I went here and got a degree here, but because that was like my very first website that I ever built. And then I decided, quick side note, I decided to take that like sports fan website empire that I had one website. And the El Paso Diablos at the time didn't have a website. So I built one for them. About a month later, and I always had like my name and email on the bottom of the websites that I built. We still do it at Hello Amigo. We got a call that my mom took at the house, and it was the El Paso Diablos, and they were furious that someone had built a website and used their logo without permission. And they were like, we're getting lawyers involved, and we're getting ready to sue. And my mom was like, he's a 13-year-old. Like, I'll tell him to take the website offline, so I took the website. But yeah, so then I took that experience, and even in college, like I had some jobs here and there, but I was freelancing and building websites during my time at UTEP for clients here. So I learned entrepreneurship, business skills, kept my programming skills sharp. So yeah.
how are they connecting? So several of, a majority of the audience here, they're attending classes, and then some of them already have hobbies, already have side hustles. How did you manage, to keep that level of engagement with your classes and then running a business at the same time?
Yeah, so I didn't do a lot, like I didn't have a lot of clients in college. I kind of kept it like something manageable because I definitely wanted to keep my focus on school and doing well. I didn't want the stuff I was doing on the side to like interfere with that. So I think it was just really like picking projects that I wanted to do, but also like not taking on too much.
Right. Well, thank you for sharing. I didn't know that story about the sports. It tells a lot about execution, right? And how we all can have great ideas, but if you don't execute, you never know what can actually change your life. So that's a great experience. I didn't know.
Yeah.
I didn't know. So that's wonderful.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. Now, let's talk a little bit more about your vision and plan for Hello Amigo, right? So as a managing partner, I imagine you have, and you explained, so you're one portion of the company, and then also trying to grow the company as well, right? So how do you integrate business and computer science? And can you share a little bit more about that?
Yeah, for sure. So I wish I would have taken more like business classes when I was here at UTEP, because I was kind of like, my experience has just been like living it and like experiencing like working with clients. When I graduated from school, I had a job offer with a company here. I don't even remember the name of the company, but I think they eventually became a subsidiary of HP. And I was supposed to be, going to be programming systems to process medical records. And it sounded extremely boring even before starting. And actually a few days before I was supposed to start, I applied for a job at a local website development company called Stanton Street. They're still around, they're still good friends of ours. And I interviewed with them and I said, look, like I have a job, I'm gonna be totally honest with you, I have a job offer. I'd love to work with you all if it's a good fit. I need an offer like today, because I think I interviewed on a Friday and I was supposed to start this other job Monday. And so they gave me an offer, started working there. And I was able to use that experience to kind of learn the business side, to see like how these agencies operate, which was great. And I made friends that worked there that I'm still friends with to this day. And I decided to, after about a year and a half, decided to make that leap and say, I'm gonna start this on my own. And integrating like my computer science expertise, I was able to build the websites pretty much myself, but I was doing everything. I was doing design, I was doing meeting with clients. I'm not a designer, like I can get by, but I'm not like a graphic designer. But I met my business partner, who's the creative genius behind Hello Amigo, and we started working together pretty closely. We didn't really merge. He had his own company doing design, I had my company doing website development, but we started working together because he had clients that needed websites, I had clients that needed design, so we naturally started working together. So yeah, like going back to what I said at the beginning, I wish I had more of like that business experience, like formal classes at UTEP, but kind of just like figured it out as we move forward. Like it's great having my technical expertise, but my business partner's creative expertise also, so that kind of ties the whole company together.
Excellent. So what was that? There's always in the journey of an entrepreneur where it's like aha moment, right? Like it makes sense for me to start something on my own. Can you tell us a little bit about like what was that aha moment and how did that feel for you? Because sometimes it's afraid. It's very it's not easy to take that leap, right? And say, okay, I'm going to start my own business.
Yeah.
What was that defining moment for you you felt that it was right?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I can't really think of like an actual moment, but I'm sure I had like a frustrating day at work at Stanton Street, and I was like, I'm gonna go on my own. I've had it working here. But at the time I was 24, didn't have really any expenses at all, so it was a good time for me to try it out. Because if it failed, I could probably just find a job elsewhere. So yeah, like I always kind of knew. I wanted to have my own business. My family, I like to say I come from a family of entrepreneurs. So my grandparents on my dad's side, they immigrated from Europe, ended up in Houston, and they owned and operated a deli for about 40 years. My grandparents on my mom's side also immigrated from Europe, ended up in El Paso, and had a fabric store for a long time, right downtown called La Barata. And my parents also had a fabric store. They didn't really take over that fabric store, but they had a separate fabric store. So they did that for a long time on their own. So like no one in my family ever really like worked for anyone for a long time. Like every kind of had like that entrepreneurial spirit, and then my dad eventually got tired of the fabric business, started a computer networking business, and that kind of like started my interest in like computers and technology because he was always interested in that. My mom got tired of the fabric business. They closed it. She became a personal trainer for about 20 years. So yeah, like I think it was just kind of natural for me to follow like that entrepreneurial path.
Interesting. So I would like, before continuing on the next set of questions, I would like to open it up for questions. Do you all have any questions that you would like to ask Brandon? This is your golden opportunity. Yes.
Yeah. It's a bit of a two-parter.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you know, help design, develop websites. How important do you feel having a working website is? And when you get new clients that don't have a website like that, sort of outdated, how do you sell them on, you know, getting it redone?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So I think it's still very important to have a functioning, working, nice-looking website. I think now it's part of a bigger marketing strategy that companies have, where social media is important, marketing in general is important, but we specifically get questions like, all right, people say like I have a good like Instagram following or Facebook following. Do I need a website? And we always say, yeah, like it's not going to supersede like stuff that you're doing on social media, but it helps your business. It looks professional. Like people can go to the website. It's a good place to add content. We always tell clients like you should be updating your website and adding content to your website. When you're adding it to your website, it really belongs to you. Like it's your content. Whereas like if you're putting it on Instagram and Facebook, there's some gray area, like who really owns this content. So when clients come to us with outdated websites, we tell them a few different things. Like we tell them how important content is and how important it is to like tell your story. We tell them that just like the look of the website is important because you want to keep up with modern design trends, and if you have like a 10-year-old website that looks really out of date, like maybe your clients will start thinking, or potential clients will start thinking like, hey, like are they even in business anymore? So that's kind of like how we sell it. We still get inquiries from people that have websites that aren't mobile friendly. Like you go up to the website on the phone and you're having to pinch and zoom, and we tell them like how important it is because most of our websites will get 70% of their traffic and above from mobile. So we tell them like you really need a good mobile web presence. Then there's also search engine optimization implications, and that's a big one too. Yeah.
I'll actually ask you a question. First one is, how did you start getting your first clients in your study?
Yeah.
And the other one, what do you think makes your company different from other companies?
Yeah.
Like, what is your this is better?
Yeah, those are really good questions. So, getting clients is still difficult to this day. That's probably the hardest part of running the agency. By far, word of mouth is our best referral source today. Even getting started, it was like friends of my dad. Like, my dad would say, hey, like, Brandon can build you a website. And I would start talking with them. So it was really like word of mouth was the biggest one. And like I said, even today, it's still like that. We'll get people finding us on Google. Like, our site is pretty well optimized for people looking for website developers or advertising agencies. But I would say maybe 80% of our work, maybe a little bit more, like 70%, is word of mouth, like referrals coming from people clients that we've worked with, people giving us good referrals. To answer your second question, key differentiators. So what makes our company different from other companies that are kind of in the same space is we really push content development. And when we used to sell websites, we would engage with the client, come to an agreement, and then we would say, cool, like, send us the content for your website. And we wouldn't hear from them for months. Because it is really difficult to write content. Like, writing's hard in general. So we shifted maybe almost 10 years ago to saying, look, we are going to write the content for you all. We're going to take the lead. We'll work with you, but we will learn your story, how you want your website to portray yourself, and we will write all of the content for your website. Before we even get to this point where, you know, we have cool fonts and colors, like, we literally give our clients like a black and white sitemap that has the real content for their website. There's no colors, no fonts, no images, but it literally has a navigation bar on the top so they can like scroll through, or they can navigate the pages and they can read what the content is going to look like. But that's one key differentiator. Something that's changed very recently though is ChatGPT, because ChatGPT can do a really good job of writing. It's not perfect and it sounds a little robotic, but we've tried to use it a little bit more to help us write or rephrase content. And we think that ChatGPT and AI in general, it's going to keep getting better. So we're going to strategize ways to use it to help our clients just elevate their websites. I think the other key differentiator, I don't use WordPress that often. WordPress is great. Maybe some of you have used it before in some capacity. But for our clients, some of our clients, technology is kind of hard in general. And we still get clients that come to us and they say, I can't update my website. I am scared to update it. I don't know how to do it. I'm afraid if I type this in WordPress, it's going to break the website. So we built our own simplified version of WordPress, and it's a custom content management system. If you can fill out a form online, you can update your website. And all of our clients absolutely love that system because the learning curve is very minimal, and they can log in at any time. They can add news, they can add employee profiles, manage donations that are coming into the website. So I really think content and that content management system, in addition to like unique, awesome design, those are our differentiators. That's how we sell ourselves.
And I will say, if I may add, you have a wonderful shop and good website. So maybe at the end we can show them.
Yeah, for sure.
You have the trivia, El Paso trivia cards. They're amazing.
Yeah, thanks.
They have, if you ever get a chance to log in into Hello Amigo, check their store. You have the Dibujalo and the trivia and Explore 915.
Yes, yeah. So we started making these playing card decks and boxes for our client gifts at the end of the year. Yeah. So our team wrote a bunch of trivia, spearheaded by Annalisa back there. She was our trivia expert. And yeah, so those are our new ones. The Play 915 card, so it's a drawing, acting game that's a lot of fun. We have some trivia cards, we have playing cards. We used to have a really cool puzzle that, I'm not a puzzle guy, but I heard it was very difficult. But we're sold out of
Yeah,
the
so it's
puzzles.
YouTube.
So check out our site. If you want to see what our boxes look like, I should have brought one, but if you go to our Instagram, you can see like how we presented the Play 915 cards in our boxes. It's really cool.
And that's what I think it's great about Hello Amigo. They really have show how El Paso has a lot to offer. Right?
Yeah.
Why UTEP is a great university to be in, and that's El Paso proud in a very modern and updated way.
Absolutely, yeah.
So I absolutely, every time I have friends coming over from everywhere else, we always use the cards.
Trivia,
Yes.
yeah.
And the Explore El Paso 915, super helpful.
Good.
Super helpful.
Yeah, for sure.
So now let's move, yes, go ahead.
I just want to take you back to the beginning. You had mentioned that you built a website for UTEP and started updating the sports page of that. How did UTEP accept that? And are you involved in the evolvement of the UTEP website?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I did that first website just as a fan. Like UTEP never contacted me. Like I just did it because I needed something to build a website for. I believe someone contacted me from UTEP, and they were way nicer than the Diablos. They were very appreciative that I had done that. So I just did it on my own. But they received it well. They didn't threaten to sue me like that. What was the second part of your question?
And
Just
are
working.
you involved in the involvement of the UTEP website?
So I'm not. UTEP is a client of ours. We do work for the Office of Special Events. We've been wanting to redesign the website for a long time. So if you've seen that website, it's one of ours. It's a really old website. We do some work for the Law School Preparation Institute.
Oh, nice.
But funny story, like going back to like the sports, I think this was in 2012. I think it was Tim Floyd's first year as coach. The team was doing really well, and my wife and I, our trivia expert, we're also married. We would go to all the basketball games. We still go to a lot of basketball games. They were doing a blackout game against someone, so they wanted everyone in the stands to wear black, and the team had black jerseys that they were wearing for that specific game. So leading up to that game, I bought a domain just randomly, and the domain was what color do I wear to the UTEPgame.com.
Oh, wow.
So it's just something long, kind of like, weird. And I put a black background on there and just put the word black. And I put it on Twitter, and for whatever reason it like went viral within like the UTEP like sports Twitterverse. And I got a call from UTEP. I was like, here we go. But they loved it. They absolutely loved it, and they're like, we want to do more of these, what we call like just like microsites. And so we actually just me doing that, it probably took me 10 minutes to do that weird domain and site, led to getting paid work with the athletic department, where we did microsites for some of the basketball games for men and for women.
Right, so, do it. Don't wait for permission.
Yeah.
If you think that it's worth it and it's unique, do it, right? That's what I always get, and when we're mentoring students at the Metropolitan Center, they always ask, do you think my idea is worth it? It's absolutely worth it, just do it. Execute, that's what's the differentiator.
Yes.
It can bring business, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
I have a question,
Yeah.
like related to when you got out of that idea of working for the medical,
Yeah.
yeah, like
Yeah.
and
Before
started
you-
working on something that you found like interesting. I noticed that on that narrative there was like this part of creating opportunity for yourself to start working there. How do you think like you got like that courage, and how did you like executed that?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think just because I really had a passion and love for website development, after getting that first opportunity, and just, I joke that it sounds boring, but just really kind of like thinking about it, I was like, well, let me try it. Let me talk to Stanton Street, let me apply for this job. And I think the worst thing that could have happened was they could have said no at Stanton Street, and I would have had that other job, and maybe you wouldn't have been for it as I thought. But really, I always tell myself now, like, if I put myself in an uncomfortable position, like the worst that can happen is they just say no. So it paid off, and I just really wanted that job just because of my passion for website development, because I loved it before having that job, and I wanted to continue that. I was like, if I can make this a career, like, that would be awesome. So hopefully that answered your question.
Yes.
So I noticed on the website you have this plating bújalo. So I was wondering, since we're in El Paso and then we have a very different culture very next to us, like how do you take that to advantage for your business, and like do you provide like that advantage to companies outside of El Paso?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think the best way to answer that is it's we all know this is definitely a unique region. And we've had clients where we've been doing a lot more bilingual websites recently, where we have options to automatically translate the website from English to Spanish on the fly, which is good. But we've had clients say like, no, like the way that we want to communicate in Spanish is a little bit different than these automated translations, so we want to manually like translate the website. I think it's more of like trying to understand the client's story and be able to communicate that in English and in Spanish. And I'm trying to think of clients where they're like not from here, but they like want to do like business like in the Paso Lares region. I don't think we've had a lot of those like opportunities, but it's mainly just like the people here, like they want to make sure that their story is being communicated well in both languages, just because the region's unique.
Excellent. Thank you so much for your questions. So let's move forward
Yeah,
with our questions here.
Good question.
So starting, this is great. Please feel free to raise your hands if you have any questions in the meantime. So I mentioned that part of starting a business is doing, right? And it's everything is you have an idea, you have a vision, you want to accomplish this, and you see everything perfect. But in reality, we face some challenges to build what you want. And in your case, can you share with us one of the challenges that you have faced as an entrepreneur and how you overcome it, and what our students can learn from that?
Yeah, so I really like being an entrepreneur, but there's always challenges, always. I think one of the biggest ones for us more recently was the pandemic, and we had a lot of clients just kind of pull back on marketing. Their marketing budgets were severely like decreased because everything was shut down. Like everyone was just kind of nervous about what was happening. We got into this interesting like digital advertising space, and we don't do a lot of digital advertising anymore, but we were running ads on Facebook and Instagram for medical study recruitment, specifically for an asthma research study, and the University of Arizona was our client. That like snap of fingers dried up like immediately because hospitals obviously had different priorities, like in-person recruiting was just not happening. So we had to problem solve and get pretty creative, like what can we do to like keep our business going, keep our clients happy, and we got through it. It was challenging. I think one of the best things that we did is we got really creative with our pricing structure and payments. Like when we engage with clients, the clients are on a payment schedule, but we spread out those terms to be much longer than usual. We took money off of the front end of like developing a website and added it to like when the project was done, like they're paying us monthly to like host the website. So we got really creative, just so clients could still make that financial commitment, but spread it out a lot longer. And that was one of the better decisions that we made.
Yeah, that's what we call business model, right? And how do you make money? And how, as you know, the business matures and goes through different challenges, you need to adapt your business model, right? It might be a membership, it might be a one time, it might be pay as you go. So it's you know, what we're saying, it's actually happens
and we
because you need to be very creative, and not just with the design, but the way you make money, you need to be open.
Yeah, and it was interesting because we had people come up to us, to me and my business partner, because there was a shift to like digital advertising during COVID, and people were like, "You guys must be killing it with like digital advertising," and we were like, "No, not really," because like a lot of people wanted to do digital, but the number of people doing digital also increased, so the prices just like decreased. Like we can't survive like charging a client $100 a month like for digital advertising. Like we have to maintain a certain level of income. So yeah, we just had to be really, really smart about refocusing our services, like really diving into like branding and website development. Like I said at the beginning, like those are like our two core services, and really like cut out everything else and really show our expertise in those services so clients can we can work with them and do awesome branding and websites for them.
Right, excellent. So, Brandon, for the entrepreneurs here in the audience, what are some key lessons you've learned in your journey that you wish you knew when you were a UTEP student?
Yeah, so one of the big things that I wish I would have done when I was a student was be more involved on campus. Especially like junior and senior year, I had like late classes. I think my first class was like at 12:30 in the afternoon. So I would literally like roll out of bed at 11:30, come to school, and like leave at 5. I wasn't involved in a lot of like clubs and organizations, and I really wish I would have, just for like the networking opportunities, meeting new people. Like I met my business partner by chance, like at a meeting, and that turned into like an 18-year successful business relationship. I met my wife at we met through work, but we also like were on a committee together, like outside of it was a nonprofit committee. So like you never know like who you're gonna meet. You could meet like a co-founder, you could meet someone that could, be a huge part of your company. So that was one of my big takeaways. Like my dad always used to tell me like, you need to be more involved and you need to do stuff on campus, and I was like, yeah, I want to. But if I could go back, I definitely would have like joined more clubs and like met more people and done more events like this. Like it's awesome that you all are spending an hour on a Thursday afternoon. I'm sure there's a lot of other stuff going on, but it's awesome that you all are here.
Right. Yeah, this is, you're already in the room with people that are trying to make things happen, right? So this is really one piece. So yeah, thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
So how do you carry that minor spirit in your daily work and interactions with the El Paso community? Because you're very involved with the El Paso community as well.
Yeah.
How do you show that UTEP pride?
I am very, very proud to be a
Other
minor.
than your shoes.
Yeah. I love my blue and orange shoes. I'm very proud to be a UTEP grad, like very, very proud, and I hope that for those of you that are still in school, you appreciate UTEP. Again, it's a great school. I've been to other schools, like it's a phenomenal school, and I have a lot of pride being a UTEP grad. And always tell people when we meet, like graduating from UTEP, we always ask, the typical, what high school did you go to question, famous El Paso question. But like day to day, kind of like having that minor spirit, I've learned that it's very important to be respectful to people. You never want to your reputation is kind of all you have, like when you have a service company like ours. So we want to make sure that we're very respectful, that we're in tune with the community, and we do a lot of work in the nonprofit community, and so we just like to carry that spirit forward and maintain that good reputation that we have within the community.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Any other questions?
Yeah.
I have a question, but it's more related to like the branding aspect.
Yeah.
I'm a graphic designer.
Oh, nice. Awesome. Yeah, that's great. That's awesome.
Yeah, I just got this email out of nowhere and I was like, oh, that sounds
Yeah,
interesting.
no, thanks for being here.
Marketing is marketing.
So
There you go,
it's a question related, for example, when I'm talking to a client. I work here at UTEP and I work with some departments. And something that I notice is that when you're like reviewing, sometimes you get like this client that is like asking for changes and changes and changes.
Yeah.
To eating things. Sometimes it's hard to put like that stuff, like, hey, I'm working like out of hours or I still have other things going. How do you make that limit?
Yeah.
How do you say no in a
Yeah. So,
in a nice way?
so I have some bad news for you. That's every client. No, I'm just joking. It's not every client. It's a really good question. We have some terms in our agreement that the client signs that kind of protects us from going like over hours. I think we have the number of like revisions that we can do like on a branding like identity that we do. There's a hard number just so we don't go over that. We're flexible, like we'll never like enact that clause unless it becomes like a big problem, and I can't think of a recent project, thankfully, where that's happened. But I think the best way is to communicate. We always say we have stellar customer service, but stellar customer service to me has never been about saying yes to everything and being at the whims of the client. Like, stellar customer service to me is being honest with the client and educating them, telling them why you designed it this way. Trying to, like, you always have to, and we still do it every day, we have to sell the work to the client. We can't just show them a logo that we've done or a website design and say, what do you think? Like, there's always a pitch behind it. There's always like, we did this because of this. So I think if you do that, that can help solve some of those issues where clients just keep asking for stuff, like make the logo bigger, make the logo pop, like, yeah, change the color, yeah, exactly. But it's challenging, but sell the work. That's the best thing you can do. Yeah, make the client believe like you're the expert and the reasoning that you put into that design, like you want them to say, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Thank you. We had one more question. Yes.
So when it came to coming up with like I guess like price points and taking into account like payroll and just everything that comes with expenses, how did you like come up with your price points for developing business?
Yeah. I wish it was more scientific. It probably should have been more scientific.
Yeah.
But we wanted to set our pricing to where we were confident that we were not like under quoting, but we also didn't want to make it so expensive that the clients didn't see the value in it anymore. So it was kind of like just playing around with those numbers, and we always ask clients when they engage with us, like, do you have a budget? Most of the time they'll say, we don't, but they always do. We know that they do. One of the things that I wish that clients did more of was set a budget and tell the companies like us what the budget is, and then talk to different companies and see what you can get for that budget. So you say, I have $5,000 to spend, what can that get me? Then you start talking to different companies. That makes sense to me, like you can see how much you can get for that 5,000. So it was a lot of experimenting. We still experiment with different pricing. Payroll is by far our biggest expense because we're a service business, but I'm sure most companies' payroll is always the biggest expense. But yeah, we've been very careful about hiring. We're a full-time team of 7 right now. We'll never be like a 20, 25 person company. We like that small size. I think we were at 9 at one point, and I was like, this is too much. So yeah, it's I have a pretty good forecast 12 months out that I update every month, so I can see kind of like what our numbers look like, and we can make changes pretty quickly if we need to.
Yeah, pricing is always one of the most frequent questions. So I invite you to come and visit us because we have, depending on the industry that you are, we can help you figure it out. You know, how do you set prices depending on where you operate, right? Depending on the industry, depending on your maturity, depending on so many other different components. And we can help you set up, at least a pricing strategy, benchmarking, looking at what others are doing, and what's your unique offering, right? What's that extra price that you can add into what you're creating and what you're doing. So we have one more question. Yes?
So apart from the skill that you have of being able to code, what other skills do you think benefited you in your journey in being an entrepreneur?
Yeah, that's a good question. I always say I'm shy, but I've learned how to talk to people, specifically how to sell our company and how to sell our services. And I think that's a unique skill set. It's difficult and it takes a lot of time, and I've looked back on like meetings that I've had in the past, and I'm like, oh, like I wish I've gotten a lot better like talking with people and selling. So yeah, besides coding, I think just the ability to communicate clearly. When we talk with clients about very technical things like to incorporate on their site, we want to make it as simple as possible for them. We don't want to make them feel dumb. So like just the way that we communicate, I think that skill, it's hard, but that's a very good skill for really everyone to have, especially entrepreneurs.
Yes, thank you so much for the questions. We have a module called Entrepreneurship Mindsets, where it tells you 4 different skills that you should have as an entrepreneur going and building your own business or as a career readiness. So I'll be happy to share all of those resources with all of you. Thank you so much, Brandon, for sharing your inspiring journey and insights into the entrepreneurial world. Final questions. This has been very, very interesting and engaging. But what if I have another question for you? Where can I find you? Where can students connect with you?
Yeah, so follow us on social media. This is our website, helloamigo.com. Anyone, you can email me anytime. It's brandon@helloamigo.com. I don't know if my email is actually on the website, but just remember helloamigo.com and put it together. Yeah, I'd love to hear any follow-up questions that you have. Please get in touch. Love to talk with you all more.
Thank you so much. So before we wrap up, I want to invite you all to stay connected, learn, and be inspired. Follow us on social media, Mike Loya Center for Innovation and Commerce. Visit our website, utep.edu/Loya Center. You know that there's an office here for you to help you with entrepreneurship. If you have any questions, if you want to participate in programs and activity, if you want to be part of this speaker conversation series, you can be here. So just engage with us. We want to work and we want to collaborate with you. We have an office here at the University, Prospect Hall. You can always pull up that slide so you know where we are. And I just want to remind you that the journey does not end here. Keep an eye for future minor entrepreneurship talks. And thank you all so much for being part of this incredible event. Thank you, Brandon.
Thank you all.
Map where you can find us at the Plaza Prospect Hall. This is our social media, our website. And we also invite you all to come and participate in our next event, Demystifying Venture Capital Investments, for the Economía Empieza, next month. Thank you all for being here. Thanks.